guys, welcome back to part 10 of Satan's Hollow. I want to do quite a few things on this episode. I want to start with putting in this switch. I went to Home Depot and bought one of these. So on the back here it says it's a 120 volt. It can be either a 277 AC or 20 amp at 125 volt. So this will be plenty big enough for what we need to do. We're going to put it on this plate here. The plate goes on a 45-degree angle. That's how it gets screwed on there. So we need to take this nut off. And it's labeled on and off. So this would be the off, and that's the on. So what we need to do is put this in here. On an angle. Like that. I'm using that plate as a guide to get it on the right angle. Yeah, hopefully my crimpers will tighten this up. Okay, now we need to hook the wires up. This has round, or we're gonna have to use a ring terminal rather than a spade terminal that was on here. So I'm gonna cut these off. We're gonna put these on. So let's just cut these ones off. Gotta go get my splicers. I thought I had them over here. Okay, let's splice these. Crimp on these. Okay, now we can use the torch here to shrink the casing. Okay, now we can put it on here. I'm not really too worried about which direction it switches. I don't ever usually use the switches anyways because all my games are on a surge protector plug. Oh man, there it is. And then we got to put this ground wire on one of the two screws when we put the plate up there. Okay. Have to put this, grab two screws for this plate. Be a little hard to get up there. Put the first one in, then we'll put the ground wire on the other one. Make sure I don't tangle all my wires up here. we'll put the ground wire on this other one. As everything falls in my eyes. Okay, so now we have an on-off switch again. So that is done. Let me look at the interlock switch wire colors so we can get that in. And then after that, we'll take the marquee apart. Actually, before we take the marquee apart and before we do the interlock switch, need to make a power wire, which goes to that 3-pin connector right there, that brown one. So I have a plug end here. I have some cable right here. Now I got to see if I have a Molex end that fits into this. Might have to go grab my other container of them. Oh, here's a 3-way. I don't know if it's the right one. I think it is. Yep, that's it. Okay. So what we need to do is, those are male, so we need female ends. So let's make this one end first. My knife blade is dull and I don't have another one down here. Actually I do, but we'll see if I can cut it with this. We don't need to take a ton off. This wire is 18 gauge. Okay, now we can splice these three, strip them rather, and we'll put these pins on it. Green goes in the center. And from my other one that I looked at, black was on the outside. So we're going to put this into here. We need to make a plastic plate too that holds the wire in the cabinet. The one is missing from this cabinet. I do have a piece of plastic, which I'll show you here in a minute, that I ordered on Amazon a while ago for something else. And it's textured black just like the original, but you got to cut it. And make your own. So we're going to put green in the middle. Black was out here. And then our neutral, which is white. Okay, so that's in. Now that can get plugged in here. Backwards, there we go. Okay, that's plugged in. So I have this piece of plastic here. It's a 12 by 12 piece. It's about an 1/8 inch thick. There's actually a part number on here. If you guys, anybody needs any of this type of plastic, we're gonna cut a square out. And we're gonna drill 4 holes for the screws, and then we're gonna drill a hole in the middle that the wire goes through. And that'll keep the wire in here in the right spot. So let me go grab a tape measure and a marker. We'll cut a square out and drill 5 holes in it, because we got to put this power wire through the plastic before we put this end on it. Okay, I got a gold Sharpie tape measure. These little knives I buy at Harbor Freight, they're usually by the checkout. They're like 69 cents a piece. They're the ones where you snap off the end after they get dull. I'd always buy a ton of these. Nice to have them around. So now I need to measure. I could see where the old plate was, which is 2.5, should be square. 2.5 by 2.5. So we need to make a 2.5 inch square here. Okay. I'm going to use my little multi-tool here to cut it. It's going to probably melt a little bit. Okay, there's my square that I need. We'll just take the burrs off. This carpet needs vacuumed again. This carpet's going to be leaving. I'm going to rip it out hopefully this fall, and I'm going to put down glued down vinyl flooring in the basement. I'm going to glue it right to the concrete, and then I'm going to get some area rugs made, blacklight area rugs, and put them down here. I was going to use blacklight carpet for the whole basement, but I just don't think it's worth the money, because 90% of my floor is covered by games. So I think it'd be just easier and cheaper to have a nice vinyl floor that can get mopped, and then just get some area rugs that you can pick up and move out of the way. So, all right, so now I need to mark where the holes go for the screws. And then we need to put a hole in the middle, and then we could feed this wire through. And then once we put the wire through, on the back side, I'm going to put a zip tie so that the wire can't get yanked out of the power supply. So I'm going to kind of hold this up back here, get my Sharpie out, and put a dot where the holes were originally, which are pretty close to the outer edge. Yeah, I mean, they're right on this edge right here. So we got 4 there, and then we need to find the center, which is easy. We'll just do a cross that, and like this. There's our center. So now let's drill the center one first. I'm going to find a drill bit that's not too much bigger than the wire, which is, this looks good right here. It's a nice tight fit, 5/16. So we're going to drill a 5/16 hole in the center there. Okay, let's test fit it. might be too tight. Oh, you know what? The casing is on the wires messed up. Yep, perfect. Nice. So now we need to drill those 4 other holes for the screw heads, or for the screws. We're going to use a debating between a 5/32 and a 9/64. Let's do the 5/32, the bigger one. Because I don't really want my screw to grab on the plastic. I want it to kind of just slip through the plastic and go into the wood. Okay, now we have that plate made. So now at least it's like the original. Put our 4 screws into it. Then we'll feed the wire through. I always put the texture side out. Going into the existing holes, into the wood. Beautiful. My hole's off-centered. It must have been how it was a factory. Or they just had it, either they had it off-center or they had the hole drilled off-center. But anyways, it's fine. It's in there. I actually do see a spot where they had a strap down there. So I think we'll do that instead. We'll put a strap around the wire because this has an eye hook in it. I don't know why this thing gets dim. See how it's bright? And then after a couple minutes, it goes to the next dimmer setting. And I don't understand because it's rechargeable. It's not like it has regular batteries in it. And I just took it off the charger. But anyways, enough bitching about that. Let's get this in here. And we'll leave it a little loose. And we're going to put that, we're going to tie it in with this zip tie. Just like this. Probably can't see inside the cabinet. Cut the excess off. Grab another screw here. A little bit longer one. Use a 3/4 inch long one because of that hoop on there is almost a 1/4 inch thick. Perfect. Now you can yank on this and you can pull the cabinet with it and you're not going to rip it out of the power brick. So that's done. Now we just need to put the end on this side and then we are done with the power wire. Then we're going to go around. I'm going to open up the back of the tapper so I can verify where these wires go on here because I suck at that. For some reason, I get these wrong every time I put them on. So I'm going to go on the back of tapper. I'm going to figure out which ones go where. I'm going to plug these in. Then we're going to go around the front. We're going to take off the marquee. We're going to get the speakers hooked up, the ground wires to the speakers, and plug in the marquee light. And then we are going to splice in the new LED light strip into this power supply or power wire harness. After that, we could probably plug in the cabinet. We could test voltages to see if this power supply works or not. I doubt it. I do have another one of these power supplies too that we could test. Be kind of cool if one just worked. But right off the bat, this one that's in here is not going to work. There's a big capacitor on here and it's all bulged up on the one end. So I'm probably going to pull this one out and I have a nicer one that I'm going to put in there and we'll test it. So I'm not even going to mess with that one right now. I do have a rebuild kit for this one. And I also have a second one that I'd like to rebuild and possibly put in tapper. So let's strip this back. Don't want to take too much off. I always put, about 99% of the time, I put new power wires on these games. And these MCR games, in my opinion, I think they use more power. So I always like to use a thicker wire. Now, I do have a bunch of the pre-made wires from Arcade Shop that already has the male end on it. But I always like to use these thicker ones for these games here. Okay, let's get this put together. Then we will get the interlock switch done. I'm gonna have to go out to the shop because my voltage meter's out there. I gotta make sure you put this end on first. I've put it together and forgotten and had to take it back apart. Now your gold screw is your black. You don't want to use terminals on this side. You want to put the bare wire right into here. And tighten it down real good. Silver side's your white. And then obviously green is ground. Okay, now we can put this on. See, this is why you don't want to strip that too far, or it'll go past this clamp here, and you'll have to redo it. So now you got to make sure that you see this little tab here that's bent on an angle. There's a spring in here. You want to make sure that that tab is going this direction. And usually the screws only line up that way. So you really can't screw that up. But it makes it easier for you to put it together though. When you see that tab there, you know that which direction it goes together. Okay, tighten this up. Got a nice solid plug. So let me look at the wiring for Tapper. And this stupid thing went dim again. When I look at the wiring on Tapper, I'm going to plug them into here, and then I'll show you how they're plugged in. Okay, here's how it is on the Tapper. Brown and white is on the very top terminal. Then the one in the middle skipped. Brown and yellow goes on the bottom one. And then it skipped a terminal. Brown and yellow. I'm sorry, blue and yellow. And then blue and white. So it's done just like it is on Tapper. So now I'm going to go ahead and reposition this. I'm going to push this cabinet back for now. We're going to open up the marquee and get all that stuff hooked up. Okay, I got my security bits here. Actually, I think it's this one here. Okay, we're going to take off the top bracket so that we can just slide the marquee right back in afterwards. Or if I might need my extension on here. Yeah, let me grab my extension. Here it is. I always use these security screws. It's kind of hard to see because I'm not tall enough. Okay, now we can take that down. Should come out. Might need to loosen the bottom one up. All right, let me just loosen these up a little bit. Now we can get, I gotta get these wires up there. That marquee wire does not look long enough. That's long enough, barely. I might not have it exactly right in the cabinet in the back. Could probably get a little bit more slack out of it. Here's our one ground wire for the speaker, for the right speaker. And where is the other one? Oh, it fell down. There it is. Yep, I'm gonna have to go in the back real quick. I'm gonna pause this. I need to unstrap that. Just move the wire harness up just a little bit. Okay, I got some more slack out of the wire. So now I'm gonna take this, you gotta take the one nut off the speaker to put the ground wire on each speaker. Then we can plug in the speaker. Doesn't matter which ground wire goes to which speaker. They just want them grounded. Pretty much everything in the cabinet should be grounded. I actually still got to get those yellow grounding straps. I have them. I got to put those in the cabinet still too. That go from the power supply to the fuse block, from the fuse block to the amp board, from the amp board to the monitor, to the coin door, and to the control panel. Actually, does this control panel need it? Yeah, it's a metal control panel, yes. Really can't see what I'm doing here, but it's only take me a minute. And then before we put the marquee back on, I want to power it on and make sure that the marquee light works. Okay. Now we got to plug in our speakers, right speaker, left speaker. Now I have the white on the front and the green on the back, which means it gets opposite on this side because it's two speakers are facing each other. So you have the same, going the same direction. Okay, so those are all plugged in. So now let's splice in this right here. So we need to cut this plug off, and we need to get a three-way Molex connector to go into there. This is only a two-way plug. I don't have the camera pointing in the right spot. But so we need to get this plug cut off, and we need to put a Molex connector on there to connect into here. This does not have a ground wire. That does have a ground. No big deal. We're not going to use it. So basically now I need to see how long a wire I need. So we're going to take it to here, cut it right here. Cut this off. Let me zoom out a little bit. and you'll be able to see a little bit better. So now I'm going to cut this open. Don't want to cut too deep because you don't want to cut into the casing of the wire itself. I forgot to lock this. I'd rather make a couple cuts than one deep one and ruin the, then have to cut it back farther because I scratched through the other wire. Okay, this should be more than enough. Cut this off. And of course I put the Molex connectors back, so let me go grab those. All right, we need to find one that'll fit on there. Might not have one. We need a 3-pin female side. And then male pins. I have 2 of these kits. I don't know where I put the other one. Oh, here it is. I have a 4-way, 3-way, wrong way. I don't really want to cut the end off. I can, but I'd like to have it plug in case I ever wanted to change it. I can just unplug it and put the original, light back in this thing. That's why I want to find a plug-in. I might have to steal one from something else. Ooh, I found one. I think this is it. Let's check it here. Just don't want to damage anything in here. Want to be able to reuse it. Perfect, I got one. Okay. So now I need to put 2 pins on here. Male pins. So splice it back. Double check, make sure that they are females in this plug. Yes, they are. Okay. Okay. This way. Okay, now we can plug this in and we'll tie that wire up afterwards. Beautiful. Okay, I might as well see if I can plug this cabinet in and we will see if it lights up. I'm gonna have to probably mess with the interlock switch and the switch on the back. Maybe. Okay, let's pull the interlock switch. Oh, came on. That means the switch is in the on position. Okay, marquee light's working, and so is this. And that's good because I had put this on a dimmer setting the other day when my friend was over because I was showing him it, because when I first turned it on, it was like blaring bright. So I'm going to turn it all the way to the low. Now you could see in there those LED bulbs a little bit. So came up with the idea of taking some textured clear laminate and putting it over it to kind of give it a little bit of a I don't know, kind of diffuse the lights a little bit, so it's not, you don't see the bulbs themselves. So let's go ahead and put the marquee back in. I haven't even seen it lit up yet. Once again, this came from Escape Pod. Turn this light off behind me. Turn the overhead lights off. Just want to see what it looks like. It looks nice. And that red down there I think looks awesome. Turn the lights back on. We'll put that bracket on, and then I got to go out and get my multimeter. And of course this light doesn't want to turn back on. Yeah, it'll turn on in a minute. We got a starter going bad in the fluorescent light down here. So now, let's put this back on. Tighten this up. My T-molding right here is hanging down. I'm gonna have to hot glue that up. That groove right here is a little loose. We'll test that power supply that's in there just to see, but I don't think it's gonna work. Probably should rebuild it regardless, but who knows, maybe we'll get lucky with the other one. Okay, let me go grab that other one real quick. So this is the other one. And it's like really clean. The one that's in there has a capacitor right here, and this whole top is bulged up real bad. But this one looks real clean, like it hasn't been ever messed with, which doesn't mean it's gonna work. I mean, we're talking old here. Probably doesn't work, but it's not a big deal. We can rebuild them. I did rebuild the one for the Tron years ago, so we can always rebuild this one. The rebuild kit even comes with these chips, which I changed them on the Tron, but I don't know if you need to or not. This has slight battery acid damage right here, a little bit around there, so that could affect it as well. But all right, let me go out and get my multimeter and I'll come back. Okay, let's check some voltages here and see if this power supply is putting out any voltage. Gotta turn my interlock switch back on. I gotta turn this on to DC volts. Okay, these first four, these red wires are all 5 volts. I'll bet you we don't get 5 volts out of that power supply. Then these ones are ground. Yeah, 5.2. Orange wire down here is 12 volts. No 12 volts. Kind of figured one or the other wouldn't work, because that's pin 18, 20, 19, 18. Yeah, it should be it. No 12 volts. No good. I think the purple wire is sense wire, so we're not getting 12 volts. Only 5 volts. So let's turn this off let's get that other power supply, which is right behind me. Let's see if we can just kind of lean it in here, plug it in, and see if this has voltages. Got to make sure we don't touch any metal on the back side of this. That would be bad. Would lean it up against that wood. And let's see if we get anything out of that power supply. Chances are, I'm going to say no. Touch our ground here. 5 volts is only at 2.9. No 12 volts, just as I suspected. Usually these things always need rebuilt. Always. So, I guess that's going to be the next video, is we will rebuild the power supply, I guess. I don't know how far into this video I am, but let me turn this off for a minute. Okay, so I'm going to take this power supply out of here. Leave my screws in the bottom of the cabinet. Remember I said yesterday we only had to take that one top bracket off, and this will slide up and out. Now this one also has some corrosion, but nowhere near as bad where the battery goes at all. Just a little bit of green. So we're going to use this board. I don't want to use that other one right now because it does have more battery acid on it. So this one needs rebuilt. Look at that. Somebody changed this chip. Rather than cutting the socket down, it's a 4-place socket. They just left it and stuck that in there. I wonder if that's in the right spot. So they socketed both of those. Huh. Well, that's kind of cool. Which means if I need to change those chips, it'll be easy for me because they're socketed. So that is nice. So I'm not going to change those chips on this one. We'll do the cap kit. We'll change out all these. I think these are regulators or something like that. Probably put new pots in. I think it comes with new pots. These, I'm guessing one of these are bad. Or this down here, voltage regulator. I'm not sure. These are voltage regulators as well. So we'll change out those 3. We'll change out the capacitors. Look at this top cap. Look at that. That thing is swelled up. Here, let me get a better look at it. There you go. That thing's blown out. So, all right. I think we're going to end this video because this is probably going to take a little bit to rebuild. I'd like to show you guys how I do it, how I did the last one, so that fingers crossed we'll put it back in and it'll work. And then we can plug in the board and the monitor and see if we get a image on the screen. The monitor was supposedly recapped 2 years ago by the guy who had this cabinet. So it should still be good. He said he was a arcade tech somewhere. He did arcade repair work. So hopefully his work is good and we won't need to mess with the monitor. So, all right, let me move this. Let's go ahead and end part 10 to where we are ready to rebuild the power supply. We got somewhere. At least we got it, you know, the marquee light and everything is working. So we're getting there. Part 11 will be power supply rebuild, and hopefully we get power and we can get this thing fired up for the first time in who knows how many years since this has been a working Satan's Hollow. All right, guys, if you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to send them. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow.